Hello, everybody. We're back. 2022. You know, I can only imagine what this year has in store for us. Well, really, we already kind of know, right? More behavior that keeps any potential intelligent life in our galaxy from communicating with us. You know, things like people walking other people on leashes dressed in dog costumes in public. Everyone in the video votes, by the way. I mean, they might as well give the actual dog voting rights at this point. Doubt it would make much of a difference. Here's a woman howling in her yard. And here she is on a walk with her master.
Come on. No, come on. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, go. Come on, Jenna, go. Let's go. Bad girl, let's go. Keep walking.
Folks, if you're watching from overseas and planning a trip to America, your plane ticket is basically general admission to a safari. That's what our cities are. You could do anything there. Nobody looks twice. You want to walk your girlfriend onto a plane with a leash around her neck? Go ahead. That's what this guy did. Yeah, see? Everyone will just pretend like they don't see it, like these people. Yeah, they're all reading all of a sudden. What are we doing? Do we know? I mean, this is the type of stuff people used to keep as a secret in their house. Now they're all coming outside and mixing in with us now. Chalk another one up for the internet. That's how they all find each other. They must empower each other on there and be like, it's okay to be a dog. Human pups matter. Let's show the world who we are.
Just spam it for the photos. Don't hang in the aisle.
Could you imagine being on this plane? If you're listening, we're looking at a plane full of furries and like two regular people sitting amongst them who have to probably endure this for 3 hours. I'd switch my flight. You know, all they'd be doing the whole flight is making little puppy noises, giggling, or however these people communicate in these costumes. It's like our news feeds are coming to life. Like, it's one thing to see this stuff online, but when it starts showing up in your real life, holy crap. Now that's a nightmare. I just started cleaning out my social media accounts. I've been trying to limit my news feed to interesting people only. Artists, musicians, and anyone who has anything interesting to say or show. I want to see what you've made, what you've created. Imagine if that was what the youth consumed all day instead of these constant dance videos, twerking, lip syncing, stupid, unoriginal nonsense. Like, you'd think they'd see somebody do something interesting, get inspired, and try to tap into their creative side for once and come up with something interesting. I don't get it. Anyway, speaking of artists, Kat Von D is going to join us in a few and chime in on what we're talking about here. One of the most talented people I know. Her house is insane. I got lost in it. Yeah, her and her husband Prayers invited me over when I was in LA. They're over the LA thing too. They're moving to a small town like I did. It's just getting crazy over there. The people have completely detached themselves from reality in that city. Anyway, we're going to tease her a little bit when she comes on. This is what happens when you're friends with me. We're not friends unless I roast you. Then it's official. Before we get into things, I got to shout out my sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends, for supporting the show today. Here's me earlier thinking I know what the hell I'm doing. Yeah, this is going to go well. Can we just call the police or... Yep, well, that's the end of that. This is actually a pretty ambitious game, I gotta say. If you're into RPGs, this is the one. Look at these characters. They just released this one. This is the Hydra boss. Look at these creeps. You got the head of Blight. This thing just poisons everyone. You gotta burn it alive. You got the head of Wrath. This thing can wipe you out in one shot. You hit it enough times, it triples its attack power. You got the head of Mischief. This guy's a crook. He steals your buffs and just gives it away to the other heads. You got the Head of Decay. This one heals the other heads. Plus, if you try to heal yourself, he reverses it so it hurts you. I mean, this is just the worst fight you'd ever want to get into. You got the Head of Torment. This guy's constantly applying true fear on your guys. News networks probably contract him out once in a while. Then you got the Head of Suffering. This is the main tank head. You attack him and you get hurt. Good luck with that one. There's a ton of events and tournaments happening in Raid this month. Raid's also giving away a super limited edition champion to both new and old players in Raid. It's esports legend and Navi superstar Simple. All you have to do is log in for 7 days between now and January 28th and he's yours. There's seriously never been a better time to get started, and if you use my link in the description or scan my QR code, you'll get a free starter pack worth almost $30 to kickstart your game. We're talking a free champion, Tyrell, 200k silver, 1 energy refill and 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in game. You know what I forgot to mention? I should have did this at the top of the show. This is the 1-year anniversary of the show. 1 year of archiving social insanity. I feel like we should have a toast. Here, let's pour a glass of wine. All right, probably gonna spill this. I only have a whiskey glass. Who cares? This is actually the blood of TikTokers anyway, so whatever. Yeah, I have all the top creators draining in a strainer outside. Just kidding. You have to say that now because social media platforms don't know what jokes are. You know, one day historians will refer to my show for reference like they do when they refer to art galleries in Florence when dissecting the Renaissance era. The only difference is this show will be used to reference pivotal moments in the Idiocracy era. So let's toast to being immune to whatever spell caused mankind to plunder into this bizarre reality shift people are swimming around in today. Here's to maintaining a level of integrity and common sense in a world plagued with hypocrisy, victimhood, censorship, lies, degeneracy, the list goes on. And let's not forget who the top contributors are. That's right. I'm talking about the emotionally unhinged, the overly sensitive, the incompetent, the self-absorbed, the power-hungry, the manipulative, and all the vindictive individuals that bring nothing but grief to this planet and cripple our society by externalizing their trauma onto others. Here's a fat middle finger from me and all my friends watching and listening around the world. Salute, everybody. Speaking of degenerates, you're not going to believe this one. You thought the girl who did a photo shoot in front of her dad's casket at the funeral was low? Oh, it gets lower. It always gets lower. The bar drops about every week now. How about a mom TikToking at the hospital next to her newborn who's fighting for its life on a breathing machine? Oh yeah, I can't even show you this on here. Anything with kids, the video gets pulled. At least for me it does. But I got a solution. Starting a day, right now actually, I'm going to start putting uncensored bonus segments of the show on my Patreon. This is going to be stuff that I can't show you guys on here and things I can't talk about. If you're on there now, you'll see I've been putting all my banned videos on there. Everything that YouTube has pulled down, it's all on there. But we're going to ramp it up a bit. Every show that I do from now on, there will be a completely uncensored bonus segment that'll be exclusive to members of the Patreon. Joey B Uncensored, no bullshit, starting today. Get on there after the show. We're going to explore this so-called mom who felt compelled to dance for the internet with her hospitalized newborn on display in the bottom right of the screen. And I also need to tell you guys about the gang of perverts that tried to come at me the other day online. This will blow your mind. Yeah, trust me. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're going to do the Patreon, it's not going to be for everyone. I'm just telling you right now. Anyway, let's get into the news. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this recently, but CBS apparently put out a drone video of someone placing sheep food in the shape of a syringe in a field as hundreds of sheep fall in line and fill out the outline of the syringe. This was supposed to be some sort of promotion for the vaccine. They literally associated sheep with getting vaccinated. I mean, they're either extremely out of touch and didn't even think about it in that way, or they're literally underhandedly mocking the vaccinated. Either way, if this was supposed to be a promotion, this is the worst advertisement in history. You basically said, this is how we see you. You'll do anything we tell you to do. Here's free food. Take your shot. I mean, they bribe us with food to get the vaccine.
If this is appealing to you, just think of this when you think of vaccination. Vaccination. I'm getting a very good feeling.
And not just any food, like the worst food you could possibly consume, fast food.
Krispy Kreme is offering free donuts for those who get vaccinated against coronavirus.
White Castle is handing out free dessert to anyone with proof that they have received the COVID-19 vaccine.
You can now get a free mini cheesecake from Junior's if you got.
Yet they're offering a solution to a health crisis. This is literally the equivalent of them laying food down in a field for sheep. They're dangling cheeseburgers over our heads. And people wonder why anybody's skeptical that this whole push is a ploy for control and profits instead of health. I mean, this is beyond the vaccine debate. This is a why is our government and media insulting people's intelligence debate. That's what we should all be debating. Whether you're pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine, you would think everyone would be in agreement here that the way they go about promoting this is really disingenuous. Yeah, I mean, they're talking to us like little incapable children.
Vaccination.
That's why I find it hard to believe that they'd be so out of touch to not see the correlation here with these sheep. I mean, treating people like cattle by dangling cheeseburgers over their heads is calculated. That's decided in a boardroom amongst people to do that. But maybe some things slip through. Then again, we do see how many out-of-touch people there are at the top. Like that Let's Go Brandon thing, right? It's code for F Joe Biden. This is like public knowledge at this point, right? Well, the president and his wife does some call-in thing not too long ago, and this guy calls in and says, "Let's go Brandon," right to Biden's face. And then Biden just repeats it. Like, yeah, let's go Brandon.
Yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas as well. Merry Christmas, and let's go Brandon.
Let's go Brandon, I agree. Hey, by the way, where are you in Oregon? Where's your home? I think we lost him.
He didn't even know what it meant. Nobody informed him. Like, you represent us, and you're not aware that the internet is flooded with this. I mean, this has been chanted at public events. It's on the news. It's everywhere. Then again, half the time he doesn't even remember that he's president.
Now, when President Harris and I took...
He's done this multiple times. He just keeps referring to the vice president as the president.
But all kidding aside, of course, President Harris is a proud Howard alum.
Then when you ask her who the real president is, she gets mad.
So who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlemagne. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden, and don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden, and I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris.
Yeah, like she can't fathom why anyone would ask her that. The guy's up there constantly talking about, I'm going to get in trouble if I say that or do this.
I'm sorry, this is the last question I'll take, and I'm really going to be in trouble.
In trouble? You're the president, right?
Thank you. And I'm happy to take questions if that's what I'm supposed to do, Nance, whatever you want me to do.
Then he's addressing people from a fake stage setup to look like he's out in the Oval Office. like a literal movie set. Have you seen this? Yeah, and then she's got the nerve to get mad when someone's like, what's going on here?
And I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris.
Again, I can't believe that we can't all unite in agreement that this is absolutely insulting to our intelligence. This is beyond politics. Democrats, Republicans, everyone in between should be asking questions about this. I don't know. Anyway, I hate even talking about these elected officials, and I really try to limit the political talk, but some of this stuff is so stupid that I have to showcase it sometimes. This stuff needs to be documented.
I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun, and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
Because I'm telling you, if the tide ever changes and balances out a bit more instead of tipping the scale with absurdity like we're living in now, people will look back at this and be like, wow, why were people okay with this? How did this happen? This will be the most fascinating era for a lot of people in the future. If things ever balance out, which I don't see any sign of that. I'm not going to lie. That would be like me saying Demi Lovato will do a complete turnaround and become an inspirational figure in our society.
I left that yogurt store and didn't get the yogurt that I wanted. And then I had a hard time the rest of the weekend.
I don't think there's any turning back for that one. I mean, she's shaving her head now. It's like the Britney phase. I called it too. Back in July, I posed the question, how long before Demi Lovato shaves her head? This year or next? 5 months later, she shaves her head. I'm not saying it was hard to predict, but I'm starting to think I know her better than she knows herself at this point. Jason Maverick on Facebook writes, she has a head like a half-sucked mango. Interesting observation, Jason.
Oh, oh, good.
Here's a headline that reads, woman makes $45,000 weekly by selling farts in a jar. See, now, one or two more significant things will happen before she's no longer newsworthy. For example, woman who sold farts in a jar retires after being hospitalized. Quote, I thought I was having a stroke and that these were my final moments. I was overdoing it. See, that was her full body of work in the realm of being a whack job. She will forever be known as the girl who sold farts in a jar. That's her legacy.
Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you a day in the life of a girl who sells her farts in a jar. So I like to get things rolling with some beans, a protein muffin, sometimes even a yogurt, less sugar is better, some hard-boiled eggs, and today I decided I was going to make myself a protein shake with some yogurt added to it, and I was feeling it for sure. While I wait for those farts to develop, I like to read. I'm very smart, love to read.
Anyway, we're going to have Kat on in a minute. But before we do, I want to lead into the interview with something really relevant to part of the discussion I want to have with her. And this goes back to what I was touching on at the top of the show about what people, particularly the youth, are consuming in their news feeds. TikTok is like their MTV. Like when we came home from school, we just immediately put MTV on. The difference is it showcased artists. I don't know what these platforms are showcasing now. Well, I mean, we all know, but I mean, I don't know in the sense of what the purpose is. Twerking, lip syncing, reenactments. Is this all the youth produces and consumes? They all just copy each other and do nothing original. I mean, if Kurt Cobain didn't exist until 2022, nobody would care. He'd upload songs with his band, and it would get like 50 views like everyone else's band gets online. They don't play rock and roll on the radio. They don't promote it on any of these platforms. Hip-hop's completely dead. It's just mumbling and auto-tune. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of talent out there. It's just the real talent don't see the light of day. It's the garbage that sees the light of the day. I mean, look at what this kid's doing. I've mentioned him before. He's a kid from Africa doing these incredibly lifelike portraits of prominent people in our culture. Now, you would think this kid would be promoted by all the major social media platforms. Tonight Show interviews. No, instead they recommend clips of no talents like Charlie D'Amelio, who literally do nothing, like billions of views. This is what the algorithm gives you. Oh, you like crap? Well, here's more crap. You'd think they'd fine-tune it to detect that you're watching crap and once in a while pop in and be like, hey, we notice you're watching crap. Here's something that doesn't come out of a horse's ass. Maybe it'll motivate you to do something with your life that people will appreciate or admire, but they won't. None of these platforms care about that. If they did, they'd use their direct line they have to the youth to start promoting thought-provoking things and challenges to create things, not the side view challenge where you turn your head and everyone judges your side profile. Yeah, sweeping the nation. I always go into my guest on a low note. Anyway, let's talk to someone who actually has some real talent. Hopefully there's some younger people watching this today and could get something out of this and maybe inspire them to tap into something they're good at and turn it into something to be proud of. Let's get Kat on here and we'll have some fun with her. All right, my next guest is a world-renowned tattoo artist, known for her beautiful portrait tattoos. You've seen her do her thing on LA Ink. She's making music now. She's got a U.S. and European tour coming up. One of the coolest people I know, Kat Von D. What's up, Kat?
I hate having to listen to intros because I'm like stuck at compliments. So thank you for saying all those nice things.
Well, look, we got to talk about two things right off the bat. Your house.
Okay.
And your carnival game skills. Just so the audience knows, I witnessed you do the unthinkable at the Santa Monica Pier. I mean, there's been stories of people doing what you did that have been handed down for centuries. But as far as I'm concerned, those are myths. The ring toss game, everybody knows this one. They give you a bucket of rings. You got to try to get one to land on the neck of a bottle. Nobody wins that. And somehow you show up and you just nail it. I mean, are you like the female Donnie Darko or some shit? I mean, you obviously know some.
Think that was just pure luck.
I don't know. I think you know some form of magic. How else could it be done? I've my whole life I've gone to these damn carnival games. I never win anything.
They're designed to make you lose, but I don't know. I think maybe you were just my lucky charm because I've never done that before. That it felt pretty damn good. I think I screamed so loud that it was like alarming to everybody around. Like it sounded like somebody got murdered.
I mean, out of everything you've accomplished in life, all the beautiful portraits you've done, your music, starting a family, where would you rank the winning of the ring toss challenge?
It's up there with having a baby.
Wow.
And it'll never happen again. You know, it's one of those special moments. I'm so glad that you were a witness to that.
Yeah. I mean, this is the only thing I want to talk about for the entire interview.
I miss you. I wish you were here. We had so much fun when you were here.
Are you kidding? You're like my homie now. You know, I have a full review of my experience with you. This is going to be like a live Yelp review. It's a 5-star review though. A lot of people want to know what it's like to enter the world of Kat Von D. So I'm going to give the people a firsthand review of my experience. So let's start with the house. So first of all, it's not a house, it's a castle.
All right.
You don't have chairs, you have thrones. I felt like I was walking into Empress Matilda's castle in medieval times. You know, look, I got lost upstairs when we were on the way to dinner.
You did?
I did. I was looking for my sunglasses. You guys were in the car. Raphael was trying to help me, right?
Yeah.
And we were all leaving for dinner. I got worried. I thought if I went into the wrong room, a knight from the Roman Empire was going to grab me or something.
You were like, this is how every horror movie begins.
Yeah. I do have to be honest. When I saw your pool, I was a bit concerned. You know why? Well, it's red. I mean, it looks like, I walk out there, it looks like the pool at the end of Scarface when he gets shot and falls in. I figured maybe secretly you didn't like what I do and made friends with me so you could lure me to your home and take me out.
I Joey, I would never. That pool trips a lot of people out. I think it confuses most people. They think that it's that the water's red, and the water's like super clear. It's a saltwater pool.
Yeah.
And so there's like, cause I'm like a super hippie about chemicals. I'm like, I don't want any toxins around me or my baby. But anyways, so I just have water in there. We painted the pool red, and that's what made like the actual floor of the pool. And that's what gives it that effect. But I think some people are creeped out by it, which I don't mind creeping people out, but I think it looks really cool. I like the aesthetic of it.
Now, all the jokes aside, I think it's awesome. And I look at my house, I go, I have a boring existence here. I want to start painting my house red and but now you're moving. So you're officially leaving LA and moving to Indiana. And I was going to ask you why, but I know why, because people have gone nuts in LA. I mean, you don't have to say it, but there's a reason there's a mass exodus happening. I mean, but honestly, in your own words, what made you want to leave?
I mean, there's lots of things, to be honest. And I never want to polarize listeners in any way. I think some of the topics and reasons why we're leaving, sorry, that's my cat's butt, I don't know. People get so sensitive nowadays. I tried to not talk about politics too much, but I think, maybe it would be different if I was single, and was renting a home or something. But now that I have like a kid and, I'm an adult now. So it's like, I just have to look at the future and what the future holds and what I want. And I think that the idea of living in a state or a place that's more surrounded by nature, or just with people that have certain values that align with your own. And that's something that's really important to me. And it's not to say there's not people like that here, but it's crazy. I've lived in Hollywood all of my life, and I think I'm good on that lifestyle. And, maybe whoever comes out here and takes over this house will be more in line with what's going on in here, but yeah, it's getting wild out here. It's getting pretty wild out here. And California is not the California I've known. It's definitely not the LA that I've known. And so, it's a trip.
Yeah, you have the right mindset going into it. I mean, I could just say, as someone who grew up in a small town, moved to a big city, and has now since moved back to a small town, I don't think I'll ever live in a big city again. I mean, there's a certain level of breathing room that you get in a small town that you don't get in a big city. So, the way you describe your outlook on this is that that's what you're going to get. No more lines, no more driving around for an hour to find a parking
no billboards,
spot.
No traffic, no, and I've got land, we want to grow our own food and do our own farming and stuff. I think, but I will say this, that like small towns aren't for everybody either. The town that I picked is an extremely small town at less than, 10,000 people. And, there's maybe 3 restaurants in the town. There's no Postmates, there's no Uber, none of that.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of like older generation or new families. And so, if you're single and you're young and you're looking for love, this is not a place for you to move to. Like, this is a place for people ready to plant some roots. And, I guess this is my PSA trying to like deter people from moving to my town.
Yeah.
I like it the way it is.
Someone like me who grew up in a completely different environment, I feel like it was very hard for me to adapt to California just because the culture is so different. And it's hard for someone like me who came from a small town to navigate such a big city, between San Diego and LA. And now here you are, someone that grew up in one of the biggest cities in the country, and now you're going to a small town. So it's almost like it's going to be the same thing for you. There's going to be a learning curve and a sense of adapting that you might not be used to. Everything's going to be slowed way down.
Yeah, but you've seen me in action. I'm a hermit. I don't really go out. I'm not I'm sober. I'm not like partying. I have a lot of people that come and visit me and share moments with, but in general, I like to create in isolation. Like I don't know. I think I'm more concerned for my husband. He's more of a social butterfly. I want to make sure he still feels like he's got his friends. So it's going to be nice. I think it's going to be great. I honestly think I'll probably be more creative out there. It's a trip. Like I used to, be like a lot of people out here in California that, or in big cities, that they just assume that the middle of America is just filled with like a bunch of hillbillies that are not educated and not refined, and they don't understand. And that's just like, it couldn't be more further from the truth. Like everyone that I've met out in small towns is like more worldly than most people that live in Hollywood. They're more educated in the sense that they know how to build a fucking house with their hands, and that to me is wildly attractive. And that's something I want to raise my kid around. Like I feel like if there was a real apocalypse to take place in LA, I feel like most of my friends out here all my guy friends would be like,
it would be the
over there,
zombie
it's
apocalypse. It would be the complete
over there,
zombie
it's
apocalypse.
like literally like, hold my beer, we got this,
Yes.
And I love that.
Yeah, well, it's funny that, some of these bigger cities and people that live so far removed from nature, they have a lot of opinions about people that live closer to nature, talking about middle America and the South. And isn't it interesting when you actually go there and you realize that whole perception is a farce? And meanwhile, those people who talk all that shit about those people, they rely on those people for everything. All the farmers, all the people building a house, they're not lifting a finger, but yet they're putting them down as if they know better than them. That's why it's just insane to me.
It is. And I think I've been lucky enough to have been able to travel the country on tour and stuff, and you see all different sides of the country as well as the rest of the world. And I feel like there's definitely like a lack of gratitude, as cliche as that sounds. Like one thing that really bothers me is like this kind of anti-patriotism trend that's going around. Yeah. And I think, like most things, it comes with good intentions, but my personal take on all that stuff is that like, I'm a fucking immigrant. I was born in Mexico, and I came from a tiny pueblito where we didn't have electricity, running water. My first house that I lived in was practically borderline a hut. Like we had dirt floors. Like if you look at my childhood photos, I'm running around barefoot, like on mud, and we would take baths in literal buckets of water because we didn't have an actual bathtub. And it was a beautiful life too. I'm not knocking that as well. But here I feel like there's this, when you talk about privilege, like when I see people complain about the certain state of this country while they're typing on $1,000 cell phone, it's like, you don't know what poverty looks like. Yeah. Real poverty, real struggling. Like there's not one day that passes me that I'm not so grateful for living in this country that allowed me to make a career out of doodling on people's skin. It's like, sometimes I just want to yell at people like, man, like stop being a spoiled brat.
I think about this a lot too, Kat. I feel like it's a byproduct of how good it is in this country that we almost have we've created spoiled children that don't actually appreciate what they have. You know what I mean? Because it's like you take all that shit away. I mean, at this point, if you took people's phones away, they'd be begging, they'd do anything to get their phone back. Kids, you know what I mean? Like they couldn't imagine growing up like you did. Or, my great-grandparents who were from Italy, they came over on a boat. They didn't even know what the country looked like. They couldn't read or write. They had kids with them, and they're just going to be like, we'll figure it out. And we arrived to the country, and they're being spit on, called all kinds. We weren't welcomed. Like the Italians weren't welcomed into this country. But guess what? They appreciate it more than people that grew up in this country, which is interesting. I mean, you have more patriotic people coming from third world countries and living here versus people that grew up here who had a head start over those people, and they don't have a damn good thing to say about the country. I look at America almost as if it's like a business partner. It's like, look, it's not going to be easy, but we're going to give you the opportunity to do whatever you want to do. Just like with you. I mean, you get to be an illustrator, a tattoo artist. I mean, all this great stuff that you couldn't do or prosper with in all kinds of countries.
Anywhere else. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, not at this level, that's for sure. And I think, now that I have a kid, and I won't talk about being a mom or anything, so your listeners won't absolutely be disgusted. But I will say that as a mom, like now, one of my biggest concerns with my son Leofar is like, I don't want to raise him. Like this is already going to be such a big challenge to teach him and instill like the same values my parents did. Like I think it's a lot easier when you're coming from nothing to have like a sense of value.
Right.
I think it's going to be more challenging to teach Leofar, like, hey, like this shit is not to be expected. Like you live a life of luxury. Like this is luxurious to have a beautiful house like this. And, that's something to work for. It's not handed down to you.
Yeah.
And, so I think we're going to have a better chance of instilling those values into our son in, a place that's not LA.
I think it's fantastic what you're doing. And it's funny because I know a few people who, grew up a little more well off than I did growing up. And I would never have been able to tell that they came from that based on how their parents raised them and the values that they made them work and earn things for themselves. So, it really does come down to the parenting, I think, when it comes to, shaping your kid, and building character from an appreciation and all that. But, on a side note, talking about, what you do for a living, I got to say, it's really refreshing to see someone who has made a name for themselves based off of their talent rather than their TikToking skills, which is consist of basically doing nothing. I mean, out of all the hours you spent throughout your life mastering your craft, building a business, writing music, etc., is it all just a little bit disheartening to see a large portion of the youth today inspired mostly by people who dance in crosswalks and twerk in their bedroom?
Yes. And I can't help to feel a tiny, tiny bit guilty to contribute to a lot of that. I think when I think about when, I started a makeup line, 12 or 13 years ago. And since then I have sold it. And a lot of it was for those specific reasons. I think that the makeup world mutated into something that I feel comfortable being a part of anymore. And not for anything other than like, I don't know. Everything with me is always about intention. Whatever you're doing, do it with the right intention.
Right.
I enjoy being able to create art and then also make that my means of living. I think that's great too. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think like, just because you're an artist doesn't mean you have to suffer. You can capitalize on things and you should, I think if you work hard enough, you should be celebrated and stuff. And so I'm proud of the things that I was able to contribute, but I remember towards the very end of my career in the makeup world, I felt so much pressure from especially the people that were investing in my company to do things that were, especially in the YouTube world, that I just was like, oh God, this is torture,
Right.
like for me. Other people do it really great and it's fun for them. And for me, I'm not one to I don't know, the vanity aspect I struggle with. And my concept of beauty has nothing to do with exterior. So how do I walk that tightrope of working in an industry that is literally that,
Yeah.
So, it's hard because I don't ever want to judge people. I think like, whatever, there's an art to that garbage as well, but yeah, there's some stuff in that world that's quite repulsive. I mean, that's how you and I met. I saw some of your videos and I was like, oh, cool, this guy gets it. And I love seeing your comments because I feel less alone in this world. Like, okay, other people are seeing what I'm seeing as well. We have, like, I showed you the street right across from where we live.
Right.
It's like influencer alley, it's it's the famous street with all the palm trees that line up with the Hollywood sign in the background. People just travel from near and far to risk their own lives and put other people's lives in danger just to get the shot in the middle of the street. And, we take my son on walks around the block, and it is disheartening because there's a certain desperation that it feels like there's like a, without making it too sad, is like a bottomless void that people are trying to fill with all the wrong things, and
I bet that every one of those kids or adults has some sort of unique ability in them that if they only honed in on that.
Maybe. I mean, they might be wasting their fucking time. Listen, like I remember I started tattooing when I was 14 years old. I knew with a very clear vision of what I wanted to do from an early age. And I think part of that is a blessing. And part of that was just my character and who I am at my core. But I ended up having a leg up on a lot of people because I started sooner and I dedicated more time and hours. It's not that I was born with this innate talent that like God blessed me with. Like, no, there was a skill. I sucked in the beginning and I worked really hard at getting better. But while everybody else was partying, while all my friends were making out and smoking weed, I was tattooing until the wee hours of the night just to wake up and do it all over again. So I think that, like, when I think about the amount of hours people put into their TikTok videos or whatever it is, whatever they choose to do with, whether it's binge watching Netflix or whatever, you're investing that time into, you're mastering that, whether it's good or bad. Yeah. Maybe these people are great at other things, or maybe they've wasted their life. Yeah. Like, are you squandering all your time? And look, I'm still trying to figure out a way to balance my time and how I invest it, because I do like aspects of social media. I like connecting with a lot of, I feel like my fans are extremely talented and artistic. So I feel a specific bond with them that, maybe other people's fans aren't the same. But so I try to find that balance, where it's like, cool, how do I share parts of my life that are interesting and that people want to see, but without contributing to that world,
Yeah. No,
and you know what? I might have a lot more followers if I were to do those stupid dance videos, but I won't.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing that I respect about you, is that you're not known for any of that. You're literally one of the rare people right now who has a platform based solely on their ability and all that work that you put into to master your craft and all that. And everything that comes after that is basically a byproduct of the effort that you put into it. And I feel like that should be inspiring for a lot of people to see, that's staring at a blank page in their sketchbook right now, and then flipping through their Instagram and seeing people with no talent. Sorry to say, some people just are not, really doing anything that anybody can't do, and they're getting admired, they're getting sponsors, and great for them. I mean, I'm not going to knock anybody's hustle or how they make money and all that, but it's like, I bet you a lot of people are throwing their sketch pads away. You know what I mean? I mean, what incentive do kids have to be creative anymore? I mean, you know how many amazing artists are out there online with like 42 followers? They're not sharing art on TikTok. It seems like a lot of kids are not interested in that, and that's where all the kids are. The kids aren't concerned with art or original music, songwriters. They share videos of themselves lip syncing to other people's work, and everyone comments how amazing it is. It's fucking weird to me. TikTok's taken over by, I feel like it's just what's popular now has been taken over by untalented people who lift up other untalented people to make each other feel good about being untalented. And I know it sounds awful, but it's like, it breaks my heart when I see people do what you do and they get discouraged and they disappear online, or maybe they end up working in an office or something because there's no platform that actually lifts up these kind of people. That's why I try to always share.
But you know what though? Yeah. At the same time, if your heart is gonna be so fragile that that as an artist you have to seek validation through your amount of followers, then maybe you shouldn't be a fucking artist either. Yeah. I think a big challenge too with artists, like my Instagram, for example, I don't follow a lot of my friends. The people that I do follow are people that are creating content that I'm okay if that gets into my subconscious. So, because I feel like that's ultimately what's going to happen when you're, if you're consistently daily looking at something, eventually it becomes part of your subconscious. And so I didn't want to brainwash myself with, my friend's boobs or a picture of a latte or whatever the fuck. Like, that's cool if you want to post that, but I'll just be friends with you in real life, But so most of the people I follow are like either painters or designers or like things that I like to actually look at. Or I do have a few friends that are, kind of wild, but their captions are just they're great writers, and I thoroughly enjoy reading their captions, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I have a lot of friends that are great artists, but they just don't know how to do the other side of it. Like they don't know the business side of it or the social media marketing side of it. I mean, I'm still learning it too. I didn't have a TikTok up until recently, and I don't have that app on my phone. Like I spend literally zero. I don't have the password for it. My team has a password. I will create content every now and then that's exclusive for TikTok that I send to them. And it's all really music related, like us singing songs or whatever it is. I'm not really selling anything, and who knows, we'll see how it goes. If people like it, people don't. I think it's more just for my fans, but I'm not trying to quote unquote go viral or anything. That's such a weird concept to me, and my way probably doesn't work for a lot of people. That's cool, but yeah, it's a trip, I'm just so grateful that people like you exist, man, because it's good to be able to shed light on these things in a nice comical way too. We have to laugh at this shit sometimes.
Absolutely, or it'll drive you crazy. And you almost have to show people in a way too that there is kind of a sense of trying not to take it too seriously, because that would also drive you crazy too.
Yeah.
Going back to something you said, you brought up a really great point about how sometimes artists don't have per se that business mindset, and it's like it kind of made me think back to a lot of people that I know who are really talented. And you're right, I think maybe being an artist, there's a lot of people that are introverted that are artists, and artists are emotional people, you know what I mean, to put their feelings out onto a song or on a sketch pad or whatever. A lot of it stems from personal experiences and stuff, so it's a very
or some of them just smoke too much weed too. I mean,
right
like that's been kind of a common theme that I've seen through, and I'm sure you've seen it in like even in the world of comedy. It's like substance, and I am sober, so I don't think everybody in the world should be sober, but for me it works. And I have a lot of friends that have like drug or alcohol issues that hinder them from focusing, and being productive. I personally get up super early, and I try to be as productive and use as many hours and minutes of my waking moments to get the best out of the day. And whereas I have some friends that like smoke a shit ton of weed and they just don't wake up till 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Like,
isn't it interesting though? It's like,
it works for them, but
I'm not going to put a blanket statement on everybody, because some people are just functional and create great things.
There's some great, I've known a lot of functional drug addicts that like, I'm like, dude, more power to you. I wish I could do that, but I can't have even an occasional drink, or else I'll ruin my entire life. And
well, speaking of famous drinkers, there's a friend that you had that I've always wanted to meet, and someone who most people would have been on the top of their list to party with. Lemmy from Motorhead, R.I.P.
Yeah.
What was it like hanging with that guy?
He was a functional addict, drinking and drugs. But yeah, I love Lemmy. I loved and love Lemmy, and miss him every day, actually. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. And I have yet to meet somebody that knows him that has anything bad to say. And that's pretty rare, I think. He's the coolest. I'm staring at a sword right now, actually, in the dining room. I don't know if I showed it to you when you came over.
No.
There's this giant, it's like a 2-handed German sword.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now, and because he gave that to me the first day I met him. And I remember he came to my shop, I tattooed him, and I had this like just hokey little like goth dagger thing hanging on my wall, like super cheesy. And he just like rolled his eyes at it. I had no idea that he had such a large collection of weaponry. Yeah. And so I did the tattoo, and he's like, hey, I want to give you a gift, like come over to the house afterwards. And so I showed up to his house, and he opens the door. I think he was wearing like sweats or something that I never imagined he would be wearing. I thought he like slept in leather.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah, and he opens the door, and he's just there holding this giant sword, and he's like, "This is a real sword," I'll probably take that to the grave with me. But yeah, he's a good guy. They don't make him like that anymore,
No.
Yeah, but he's a perfect example of a functioning addict, and the amount of he produced until his dying day, and I love that. I think a lot of like my favorite master artists were the same way, and dating back to the Caravaggios and Rembrandts and all that stuff, and even musicians too. But it's weird. There'll never be another Lemmy.
I just feel like the music scene is convoluted with like pop music and a lot of the mumble rap and all that stuff. I mean, to each their own. It's just not my cup of tea. But I just feel like where is the next Eddie Vedder? Where is the next Lemmy? You mean to say nobody out there exists like that? And why? Those are icons. Every generation has had icons that had, like really, really meaningful lyrics in their music, stuff that makes you you think about your life and paint pictures of past memories, and it makes you emotional. I mean, like EDM, like I don't understand how EDM does that for people. I don't understand how some of this mumble rap does for it's like why isn't the youth or the powers that be or whoever puts this stuff in front of kids and or adults, like why don't they want to give people some of those fruits, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wonder if if music is truly like a reflection of where we are as, a culture, then that's maybe a cry for help in ways. But yeah, I don't know. Like as a tattooer, I remember tattooing nothing but like portraits of musicians and lyrics and album covers, and that's kind of died out. And I wonder if that has to do with like the fact that people's lyrics suck so hard now. I don't know.
No, I think you touched on something. I think it comes from inside, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, when I listen to like a Cure album, I mean, I could easily tattoo any of the lyrics from the Disintegration album onto my entire body, and I'd be super happy,
Yeah.
And I think there's a time and place for everything. I like some kind of like, I don't want to say garbage music, but like there's some stuff that's dumbed down that I can understand. I can get behind this, but it's probably not what I would opt to listen to right away. But I'm like you. I love sharing, the band that nobody's ever heard of and just shining a really bright spotlight on them, because when I fall in love with somebody or when I fall in love with something or a song, like I just want to share that with everybody, and I want them to fall in love,
Me too.
So I'm not active on Twitter anymore, but I used to do like a song of the day every day, and it was always just obscure bands, and I think I got like a lot of people to discover some really cool music through that, because that I love it when people share with me new bands. Like I am constantly chasing the high that I feel when a song just like cuts me to my core. I love that. Like it's a literal high for me. And now it's just getting a little harder it's like few and far between, but when it's good, it's good.
I'm the same way. I love sharing that with people and having people, experience that new feeling, and a lot of the music I listen to is emotional. There's always some kind of meaning to it. It's like, so you want other people to kind of feel that, I think that's why,
totally.
like, what's cool about, this conversation, is that I feel like the moral of this is that, at least in my angle here, and why I bring up a lot of this stuff about meaning and creativity and emotion and anything, any kind of work that you put out there that's going to spark or elicit some emotion in somebody. It's because I want young people to see, if they're watching this, how cool and special being creative is. And really just like putting your heart out there rather than just the vanity driven stuff. I mean, look, it's like, look, of course we all can be vanity driven in our own way. We could all be narcissistic in our own way. But if that's your entire identity, I feel like you're kind of not tapping into, I think you're robbing yourself of your potential and what you could actually give to people. Yeah. But anyway, look, Kat, I don't want to hold up your time. This was awesome. And I want everybody to know that if they're planning to go to one of your shows, because I know you have a tour coming up, what was really cool about it, Kat, is, and I knew this and you confirmed this to me after the show, is that you basically, and I knew this right away watching the show, is that you designed basically all the aesthetics for the show and the visuals and stuff like that, which I thought really, really accented really well on the music.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love like just storytelling, especially through live performances. And, without naming any names, like I have been to shows in the past of bands that I really love. And then you show up and they're just like sitting with a mic and a cardigan, like the most boring thing on the planet. I'm like, oh dude, fuck that. Like I want to see like I want to see a show. Like when you see Kiss play, it's like, whoa, like there's just so much going on. And I think that like, not to say that we're Kiss or anything, but like I did work pretty hard on like all the live visuals and having it syncing with the music. And then, I think all my bandmates are extremely sexy and attractive and talented. But I do have like a contortionist that, we've designed music around her performances and our costuming and all this stuff. And I think that you should give people a show, like I don't want to watch my uncle play a show. I want to watch like a superhero,
Absolutely.
And so that's fun for me. But yeah, we did announce our upcoming tour for the US and Europe, but I don't know which state is the closest to you, Joey, but I hope you come out to whatever show is near you, because I'd love to hang out again.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it, and I got an idea, and we'll talk about it after. But I wanted to say thank you for doing this.
Okay.
Always a pleasure talking and hanging with you. And where could everybody find tickets for the show, or what do you got coming up? Anything that you want to let the audience know about?
Oh my God, I'm the worst at being an ad, but I'm like
it's okay.
Yeah, all I want to say is just thank you for everything you do, Joey. And I hope I didn't bore your fans too much. I really love your fans so much. They always leave the most intellectually charged, hilarious comments. And I almost get just as much of a kick reading the comments than I do watching your videos. So,
well, I appreciate that, Kat. And look, thanks everybody for listening. I'll see you again next time. Peace.